Alright, so, I'm thinking, we're eyeing our journal here. We do have several things now that we could consider going for, and the question is just, what is at the top of our list here? Of course, we did recently learn, after successfully taking down the Geth Dreadnought and freeing Legion, that there are a couple things that we might do next. The Geth Fighter Squadrons being one of them. Geth Fighter Squadrons are targeting Quarian live ships with attacks that could cripple the Quarian fleet, land on Radnoch, and disable the server controlling the Geth Fighter Squadrons. That being one option. The other option being the Quarian ship carrying Admiral Chorus crash-landed on Rannoch, leaving the civilian fleet without a leader. Land on Rannoch and rescue Admiral Chorus. So these are the two sort of big things that we might be looking to do. Otherwise, we have increasingly large list of side quests that are also available to us, some of which involve some exploration, others of which are based on the Citadel, and we've been, for the most part, just trying to delay them a little bit until what seemed to be a more fitting time, and perhaps that time may be fast approaching. So those are the things that immediately come to mind. Let's see. I think Trainer was trying to chat with us a second ago, or not. I think she was just saying that Liara wanted to speak to us next time we were on the Citadel, which I believe we received an email about. So that should not come as a surprise to us, I don't think. So, let us check the galaxy map here. And don't need to be hanging out over here anymore unless we are going straight to Rannoch, which is, of course, a pretty important place. But before we do that, before we jump straight back into these high-intensity missions, we may have some other options available to us. Like, for example, have we explored Argus Row before? Let's take a look if there's any systems that immediately jump out at us as places where we might want to go. Still stuff at the Krogan DMZ, the Athena Nebula, which is where the Asari homeworld is. We attempted to explore it thoroughly, although there were actually quite a bit of things for us to find there, and we got rushed out by Reapers on several occasions. Cillian Nebula is new. Fuel reactors is a mission that we just learned about, so that's a place that we could explore. However, it might make the most sense to do that when we're looking to do fuel reactors. Other than that, similarly, Nimbus Cluster, not fully explored there, although we could explore it further once we do the Investigate Asari Colony mission over there. Then, other than that, Valhallan Threshold. Oh, did we scanned this and didn't have the opportunity to collect whatever it was that we found? Was that what happened? Or were we unsuccessful in scanning the last thing over there? Either way, I think we're one item away from completing that. So, lots of little things we could do here. And as I've said in the past, generally speaking, I think it is a good idea to try to do exploration in between your big missions, so that way, if you mess up and you get chased out of areas because you do too much scanning and you get the Reaper attention, as happened to us in the Athena Nebula and the Nimbus Cluster, then doing one of those big missions gives you the chance to reset, come back on a later occasion, and try again, which is kind of the situation in which we find ourselves right now. So, I assume the Reapers are not about to chase us down if we explore here. But, let's be on alert. I think it should have reset. Okay. That does appear to be the case. So we've recovered 100% of assets here. Let's just take a quick look and see if we can determine where we have and have not finished. Like Tomaros over here, just 50%. Now the question of as to whether I remember which planets and which areas we've scanned in those systems, that's a different question. A question that, well, I can probably answer for you. The answer is no, I do not remember those things, so that's going to make matters a little bit tougher here, but we're going to make an attempt. We're going to take a shot at this. Let's see. Can we recall where we have and have not scanned in this area. Because I can't. Because I can't. I want to say, knowing me, we probably scanned right here and attempted to hit both Lucia and Pronia, or Pronoia. We have, of course, been here previously. I have to imagine... Well, yeah, I think that was probably one of our scans. Did we scan and successfully find something that was not directly on a planet? Maybe. Maybe not. I'm thinking that generally I have been reluctant to scan the gas giants. So I feel as if there is a non-zero chance that we might find something at Neagolon and or Finesse. I think these are too far away for us to get them both simultaneously right. Let's try this. Unsuccessful. But it looks as if we can safely get one more scan, and then with another scan after that, that's when the Reapers would attack. So let's try scanning Finesse. Unsuccessful. Ooh, okay. Okay then. So that was a little closer to filling the bar than I anticipated. A little closer than I anticipated. I kind of want to scan Pronoia next, except the whole thing where there are two Reapers right over here does make that a little bit of a more complicated prospect. Like, did we try to scan both of these and just whiffed and only hit one of them? Do a quick look around, see if there's anything not directly on a planet. Relatively small system. So in theory, you would think if there is something out in the middle of nowhere, we'd be able to find it relatively easily. Oh, found it. It's right here. It is fuel. And we should go.
Evasion successful.
Okay. Glad we succeeded there. We are almost back at 100% fuel. Now, I mean, spending fuel to get here only to recover not quite 100% of that fuel wasn't worth doing. Technically not, but we can at least say more definitively that we have now explored a greater percentage of this system. So next is Vernio. And once again, the question must be asked, what have we and have we not scanned? And once again, the answer is I don't remember, but I imagine we probably tried to do this and scan all three, or I probably determined that that just wasn't feasible and tried to go for maybe these two. That'd be my guess. That would be my guess, because these were the two that were supposed to crash into each other. I remember that much. I remember that much. I feel like, once again, I have generally been reluctant to scan gas giants, so I feel as though if we miss something, then either it is, like we saw in the previous system, going to be in the middle of nowhere, and we just missed it for whatever reason, or it's going to be on one of the gas giants, especially because they're so far away. This is like right on the edge of the system, so I feel like if there are Reapers coming in here, we'd like to scan this first so that they don't spawn directly on top of us, so let's go for this. Oh! There you have it. For a second there, I also thought the Reapers were just not going to invade, but here we go. We found it. It's on Pelissa. And here's our spot. So what is it exactly? It's the Hesperia period statue, which I imagine was for a side quest that we got somewhere on the Citadel. So 100% recovered here. Does that mean we are fully explored for this entire cluster? I think it is. 100% here. 100% Athena Nebula. Absolutely. Awesome. Let's head back then. You'll love to see it. Okay. So the fuel maybe not so impactful, but that quest item, much more the case. And we might also just want to, speaking of fueling, might want to do that right now. I don't know if we were to try to explore elsewhere, like the Nimbus cluster. I think we'll save Cillian. I do anticipate we'll be there on a later occasion. Or Valhalla Threshold. Do we know if there are fuel stations there? There may be, there may not be. There aren't always fuel stations there. So let's just do a quick, well, but then again, like some of the systems, as we saw, the stuff that you uncover is fuel. I think we probably still take a second. Refuel here. Yes, it will cost us some credits, but it's not that expensive. And it actually gets us on an even 142,000, which we were talking previously about trying to afford ourselves a big shotgun or maybe sniper rifle. I think 125,000 was the number we were trying to get to. I think that was what? The N7 Crusader? I think some of the snipers are more expensive than that, at least based on in Mass Effect 1, I remember that snipers were generally the most expensive of all the various types of equipment, and I think that remains the case in Mass Effect 3. But let's, of course, we'll also be going here on a later occasion to do this mission, even if we aren't intending to do it right now. We'll take a closer look here in a moment, though. Oh, I remember this one. This is the one where we found this, and it was as Reapers were invading. So we knew it was here, but we knew that we didn't really have time to grab it. So that is fuel, presumably. Oh, wait, there's two of them in here? What? That's interesting. We did, of course, just buy fuel after we just asked ourselves, would we find fuel in another system? I had assumed that we would probably need to travel in order to get to those places where we would recover fuel. So at the very least, we would recover the fuel that we spent to get there. Except we don't need to spend any fuel to get this fuel. It's just free money. So, except we don't need it right now. So, we have done exactly what we thought we might not need to do. So I guess we go Valhalla Threshold then. Try to get this one to 100%, then we might do another big mission. Okay, because it's on Micah. Yes, like here, for example, no fuel stations. Oh. Okay, we're 100% recovered. For a second, I was like, that sounded like that little notice, that sound effect was not directly on top of the relay. I thought there might have been fuel right next to the relay. But no, it's Micah, which is kind of far away. So if we don't find fuel here, then it might be worth heading back over to that other place just to get the fuel. Oh, well, once again, we've scanned it. We just haven't actually used it, theoretically. We haven't actually recovered the anomaly. We did all the hard work. So what is it? Emergency fuel pods? That's ironic. That's ironic. All right. It's a war asset. So definitely good to pick it up. And I believe that means 100% here. And now 100% in the Valhalla Threshold. So we'll head back. I don't remember. Do we automatically get back to 100, or rather 1,000 out of 1,000 fuel every time we do a main quest mission, regardless of whether we actually travel anywhere or anything like that? I ask because we could head to the Athena Nebula, or where was it? Athena? No, it was the Nimbus cluster, and just pick up the fuel sources that we saw. And since we just spent some fuel, it is free fuel that is actually useful on this occasion. Or if we just automatically refuel all of our fuel upon doing a main quest mission, then we could proceed to do a main quest mission over here instead. And that is a different way of getting free fuel. So, I don't know, do we have other places we need to go as well where we're anticipating to spend fuel? Argus Row existed in Mass Effect 1. The fact that it does not have a percentage here either suggests that we've not yet been here, or that for whatever reason there just aren't things to scan, and I don't recall as to whether that is the case. There are a lot of places in this general area. Let's take a quick look. That seems suspicious to me. Okay, so have we been here before? In the Hydra system? Phoenix system. Does this ring any bells? Gorgon? I feel like we have not yet been here. This system may have only just become available to us after having finished the Geth Dreadnought mission. I believe that is the case with 1 or 2 different clusters. So it's possible. It is big, for what it's worth. See if, upon reading names, anything rings a bell. I mean, I am certain that we were here in Mass Effect 1. So if we have a really good memory, it might ring a bell for that reason. Saiba is a standard Neptune-type gas giant, the upper cloud decks of its hydrogen-helium atmosphere tinted a dramatic blue by traces of methane. Sound familiar? That sounds vaguely familiar. Perhaps. Possibly. Kenrum? Kenrum is a small rocky world with a trace atmosphere of methane and krypton. Its surface is mainly composed of magnesium and silicates with deposits of carbon. Kenrum was the site of the warlord Shiagur's defeat by Turian peacekeeping forces during the Krogan rebellions. While this band was not especially powerful, Shiagur was a female warlord, and one of the few remaining fertile females at that. She had, through viciousness and cunning, parlayed her unique value into a position of power. Krogan males competed for the right to join her band and lie with her. When Shiagur's death was announced, vengeful male Krogan admirers near and far swore blood oaths against the participating Turian crews. In the end, several thousand of the Turian participants were killed in open combat or through assassination. Something about Krogan assassins just seems really counterintuitive to me, because subtlety just doesn't really seem like it's in their vocabulary. To this day, many Krogan proudly proclaim that they have the blood of Shiagur. Okay, I mean that also sounds really familiar, but that may be because we read about this in Mass Effect 1. This planet is so big that it looks as if it is overlapping with this planet's orbit. Metgos, now that rings a bell. That is a planet that we visited. We had a mission on in Mass Effect 1. So we'll at least test our theory here after we look at Thayar. Thayar is a large gas giant with traces of chlorine and sodium in the atmosphere. It also has a significant amount of water vapor in the clouds of its upper atmosphere. Thayar was struck by an asteroid at least 12 kilometers in diameter within the last 100 years. The superheating caused by the impactor's atmospheric passage created a large bank of vicious storms along the equatorial band. Okay, so our theory, once upon a time, that has, for the most part, stood true, is that when it comes to scanning planets in Mass Effect 3, you always want to scan planets that you had a mission on in a previous Mass Effect game, and Metgos would, of course, be one such planet. So this rises to the top of the list of places we would like to scan, but let's check it out here first. Metgos is a large terrestrial planet with an atmosphere of carbon dioxide and nitrogen. Its hot surface is mainly composed of nickel and deposits of potassium and heavy metals. It is a mineralogical treasure trove with concentrated heavy elements constantly being brought to the surface by volcanic activity. Trying to remember which mission it was. It was a really late mission in Mass Effect 1, wasn't it? Was it one of the ones that only becomes available after you get a high amount of either Paragon or Renegade meter filled? That might have been the case. Metgos is inhospitable and dangerous, and expeditions must be well prepared to survive any length of time. With its high mass, heat-trapping clouds, and constant volcanic venting, Metgos seems well on its way to becoming a Venetian pressure cooker world. Yeah, I mean, we were over there, and yet it is 169 degrees Celsius on the surface. That's pretty crazy. The whole pressure cooker thing, when it has just one Earth atmosphere of atmospheric pressure, though, that seems a little weird. Since, by that metric, Earth has a pressure cooker atmosphere. Then we have Varmulus, which has a thick atmosphere of nitrogen and helium. Its surface is scorching hot and mainly composed of alumina with deposits of borax. What is borax? The planet has an extensive network of subterranean caves formed over the millennia by volcanic processes. In these relatively cool areas, some primitive life has developed. Wow. Even though the surface is 503 degrees Celsius. That's pretty crazy. Okay, so as I was saying, the theory goes we should scan in this general area to hit Metgos.
I found something.
Oh. Okay, we've definitely not been here before, because there is still some stuff for us to find. Fortunately, we did not just scan right on top of Metgos, because our theory did not work this time. Instead, it's Canrum that has the stuffs. Let's see what the deal is here. What shall we find? Haptic optics array, a war asset of some variety. So, sure, sounds good to me. It does appear as though one more scan will attract the Reapers, and so I think for that reason, since this is the system that has the mass relay in it, let's deliberately not use our next scan yet. We'll come back here on our way out, we'll use that scan and see if we can find whatever it is. Usually, there's one asset on a planet and another asset that is in the middle of nowhere that is likely fuel. So, I think we'll come back for that on a later occasion, and then if the Reapers do chase us down on that occasion, at least we can just rush back to the mass relay and leave here, rather than having the Reapers chase us, trying to leave for a different system, and then coming back to a very unpleasant surprise of having Reapers right on top of us. That's nasty. We'd rather not do that to ourselves. So let's see, we have Phoenix. We also have, I thought, several other systems over here. Gorgon. Those two? Okay. Let's go Gorgon, I guess. Why not? It's a little bit further. Ooh, we're actually kind of low on fuel. We are actually lowish on fuel. Is that reason enough to go back to that other system to just pick up the free fuel? It might be. Honestly, it might be. It's a fair bit of travel, but if we're trying to min-max it all, then technically speaking, it is the right thing to do. We head here, and we take one, possibly two, of these fuel sources, depending on exactly how much we need. There's one right here, and there's one over there. We assume that both of these are fuel. So, I guess we'll grab this one. And this one, whoa, is 750, so that definitely tops us off. That was just still Steros, and yeah, it's definitely that as the fourth and final thing in that system. We're now good to go to explore, hopefully, the rest of Argus Row. Reapers is just like, we've been trying to pursue this Shepard guy. He keeps on flying all over the place. We have no idea what he's doing. So now let's try go into either of these systems. Now that we have more fuel, shouldn't be as much of an issue. It is, I mean, both of them are kind of far. Kinda. I mean, we may find fuel here, though. We shall see. Okay, this is pretty big. Oh, what do we have here? Pinnacle Station. Now that should ring a bell. That should ring a bell. Talk about places in Mass Effect 1 was, of course, a DLC Mass Effect 1, one that I had not played in the original Mass Effect because it was not ported over to PlayStation 3 since the files got corrupted before that port got made. And then for Legendary Edition, Pinnacle Station was not part of the game for that same reason until some modders came in and worked their magic and brought it back, and so we did get the chance to try it out for the first time earlier in our Legendary Edition playthrough when we were at the end of Mass Effect 1, so that was very cool, and maybe we're, I don't know, like, are we ever going to find something here if we scan a space station? Possibly, but let's start at the beginning here with Vebenock. Vebenock is a small terrestrial world with a thin atmosphere of krypton and xenon. Its frozen surface is mainly composed of carbonaceous material, water ice, and low-density silicates. Rare but concentrated loads of light metals have been deposited by asteroid impacts. One hemisphere of Vebenock is covered by surface deposits of oxidized copper. Approximately 270 years ago, a Turian bulk gas transport was attacked by pirates in the Phoenix system. Damaged, it made a rough landing on Vebenock. The heat of the landing melted significant quantities of surface ice, and ruptured shipping containers spilled locks across the surface. Before this evaporated and escaped Vebenock's weak gravity, it reacted to cause the widespread rust. Oh wow. That single thing caused widespread rust. Widespread rust, there we go. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, understandably, there's a lot of ice, seeing as how it is negative 154 degrees Celsius. Okay, so we are trying to figure out what we're going to want to scan here. We may want to do a loop around the asteroid belts. There are several of them, but let's start with the planets. Starting outward and working our way inward. Oh, Tuntown. Now that's another planet that we had a mission on in Mass Effect 1. Did we really have a planet that we landed on and Pinnacle Station in the same system in Mass Effect 1? I guess maybe they just didn't make a new system for Pinnacle Station? I don't know. I don't remember. Tuntao is an enormous, low-density terrestrial planet. And then there's always the... I remember the name from Mass Effect 1, but I don't remember what the mission was for Mass Effect 1 feeling. And that is also the case here. So, with a thick atmosphere of methane and helium, despite being nearly 20 AU from Phoenix, the star's great heat and insulating thickness of the atmosphere make the surface surprisingly temperate. The crust is mainly composed of sodium and silicon dioxide with deposits of various light metals. While Tuntao is not habitable, the relative pleasantness of the surface conditions make it a popular location for small ships traveling through the Argus Row cluster to land for drive discharge. Was this where we had... what was his name? The Turian who trapped us with the bomb? Who brought us in with a distress signal into a bunker of sorts, into a base of sorts, and turned out once we got in there, it was a bomb that we had 10 seconds to discharge, or well, to deactivate, not discharge. Two very different things. And either that or just spend all of the metagel, or rather omnigel in the world to deactivate it that way. I feel like that might have been where this was, but I could definitely be wrong about that. But again, our theory may have proved incorrect on the previous system, but it still has a pretty high rate of success, so this is probably still our top priority for scanning. But let's look elsewhere. In Intase. That name sounds really familiar. For some reason, I associate that a lot with Pinnacle Station. I mean, obviously it's in the same system. What is the deal with this place? An atmosphere similar to Earth's made Intase an early candidate for human colonization. However, prohibitively high temperatures, that would seem like a pretty big barrier, and an arid climate had proven a hindrance to terraforming and agriculture. A few human cities were founded, but the majority of the human population on Intase remains scattered across the vast deserts, operating wind farms and geological research stations. It's still 150,000 people. That's saying something. But then let's work our way in further to Silsalto. Silsalto is a standard hydrogen-helium gas giant. It has no remarkable features. I am sorry, Silsalto. Your name sounds kind of cool. We'll give you that. That's remarkable. You're pretty big for a gas giant, even. That's a very big asteroid. Then Patashi. Patashi is a sun-blasted terrestrial world whose atmosphere was blasted away millennia ago by the star Phoenix. It's kind of fitting that Phoenix is a really powerful star. That just feels like that should be the case. The surface is scorching hot and mainly composed of iron with deposits of tin. Due to relatively low density, Patashi is tidally locked to Phoenix. Seas of molten light metals cover much of the sunward side. That's intense. Yeah, because the surface is 546 degrees Celsius. I suppose that'll do it. Okay, so when it comes to scanning, let's see what the deal is if we try approaching Pinnacle Station. This does not look like a space station. This looks very much like a planet. The asteroid-based Pinnacle Station, okay, fair enough, was originally constructed by the Turians to function as a concealed command center during the Krogan rebellions. It has been retrofitted as a military training facility for all high-level special operation teams employed by the Council. Station's combat simulator allows teams to train under a variety of hazardous conditions, which is, of course, as we were saying, the Pinnacle Station Mass Effect 1 DLC. Surprisingly large population, though, for what appeared to be a fairly small station, but I suppose if you're out in the middle of nowhere, and the space station is the only place where people are, then you gotta have a colony there, or at least a reasonably large group of people there to just be self-sustainable, although there were some people over on Intase. So, I'm kind of tempted to scan Tuntao and Intase. They're definitely too far away to get them both in the same scan, but we can potentially get 2 for 1 here. Unsuccessful, though. Reaper alertness, ooh. Did go above 50%, it seemed. So that would suggest that perhaps another scan will fully alert the Reapers to our presence, and we'll have to make our escape. So if we wanted to do Intase, it's kind of close to these Reapers. It's not great. It is rather inconvenient. We make a run in this direction? Well, not exactly. Yeah, they do kind of have us cornered. It does kind of stink. It does kind of stink. We were also saying we might want to do a quick loop around the asteroid belt just to see if we hear anything. Oh, no, that was just Tuntao. Don't read into that. This will be, of course, Pinnacle Station. Now, we really don't want to hear anything right on top of where a Reaper is about to spawn in. That would be unfortunate. That would be unfortunate. Like, right here would stink. It's like, yeah, we can scan this, but the Reapers are going to get us. Didn't hear anything there. This one? That's Hitachi. Yeah, not hearing anything there either. Alright, tell you what. We could save so that we can reload that save if the Reapers do catch us. Scan Intase, because I'm suspicious of this. Given how there's actually a population there, I feel like it is more significant than many of the other planets. We try scanning this, and then Reapers will, of course, attack us, and we just try to dart out here. If we make our move that way, we should be quick enough. But when we do exit to save and come back in, we lose the preview of where the Reaper's going to come from. So try to remember, that the Reaper's coming sort of to the left of Intase, just a little bit to the left, up and left. Like, what, 10 o'clock-ish? 11 o'clock-ish? So let's exit and save, just because, of course, it is game over if we do get run down by the Reapers. This is what I mean. So, like, the Reaper's going to come in right there. I think it does still save that same location. Okay, well, there's all the stuff. So, yes, we were correct with our scan, but it is going to get the Reapers right on top of us. So, what is it on Intase? It is a fossilized... Oh, Cacliosaur! Yes! The dinosaur fossil that we heard about from the Solarian on the Citadel. Now, we have a quest for this, of course. It might have explicitly said where we were supposed to look, in which case we could have known in advance where we were supposed to look. Would have helped right about now, because, of course, as soon as we exit out of this planet, we are going to get chased down by Reapers. There is also what is probably a fuel source, slightly on a detour to the right, that we could attempt to pick up on our way out, but, of course, the more we dilly-dally, the more likely we are to get chased down by the Reapers, because they are going to spawn pretty close to us. Pretty close to us. But we're gonna nab it. We're gonna nab it. It's 450, which is enough. Now we gotta go. We gotta go. Okay, we got plenty of time. Plenty. Oh! That was not everything in that system. I honestly didn't even stop to see what percentage we did. That was 2 out of 3. So we will be looking to go back to Phoenix on a later occasion in that case, but 2 out of 3 is still pretty solid. And we do have full fuel to head over, I think it was down in this direction. The Gorgon system. Okay, yeah, let's head over here. This looks comparatively smaller. Man, this is a humongous star. Okay, let's start outward and work our way inward. So we have Slekon, orbiting an unbelievable distance of 710 AU, over 66 billion kilometers from Gorgon. 1 AU is the distance between Earth and the Sun, right? Is that what it's based on? I thought it was. I think so. In which case, 710 times further than Earth is from the Sun is pretty extreme. Slekon is a huge gas giant with an atmosphere tainted by methane and chlorine. Okay. Looks like we got several gas giants here. And once again, we've probably been here before in Mass Effect 1, so I think some names may look familiar to us. Char Blue, a standard hydrogen-helium gas giant, the methane in Charblu's atmosphere gives it an azure hue. The Asari crew who initially surveyed the system during Earth's 17th century named Charblu after a then-popular soprano. The singer was renowned for her unusual skin tone, which was quite similar to that of the planet. Despite most Asari being white blue, that is a little bit odd that was so notable. But that sounds vaguely familiar, that description. I think we might have read a similar one in Mass Effect 1. Cameron. That does not sound familiar, I don't think. Cameron is a terrestrial world with a thin atmosphere of carbon dioxide and argon. The surface is scorching hot, primarily composed of iron with deposits of nickel. Like Wu, Cameron is tied-locked to the blue giant, forever looking into the face of Gorgon. That is fitting. That is fitting. Whoa! 740 degrees Celsius? 747 degrees Celsius. And it's not even that close to the planet. Although it is, of course, or not very, very close to the star. As it said, one side of the planet is always facing Gorgon, and that means that side is going to get scorching hot. The side that is never facing it, comparatively much, much colder. But still, from that distance away, oh no, that's just like the angle at which the orbits, the rings there, were kind of lighting up. I was like, oh, is there something over there? Then Vectra. A little odd to see a hydrogen and helium gas giant this close to the star. So it is a typical hydrogen and helium gas giant with traces of methane and sodium in its atmosphere. The heat of the star Gorgon is slowly blasting away the gas giant's massive atmosphere, which is visible as a dim, long tail that trails behind the planet. That does sound cool. Then lastly, closest to the star is Wu. Or Wuo. Wuo is a terrestrial planet only known from scan data picked up by unmanned probes. Though over 76 AU from the blue giant Gorgon, even this is pretty far away. Actually, very far away. It is still the closest planet to the star. Temperatures in Wuo's orbit are still dangerously high. Only ships with very powerful heat radiating systems can venture that deep into the system. Fortunately, Wuo is not a terribly interesting world. Sorry, Wuo. It has a thin atmosphere of nitrogen and methane, and the scorching surface is mainly composed of alumina with deposits of platinum. The world is tightly locked to Wuo. You mean the world is tightly locked? You mean Wuo is tightly locked to Gorgon, the star? It is a little odd to say the world, so the world revolves around Wuo. Or actually, Wuo revolves around the entire world, I suppose. Leaving the sunward side scorched and irradiated wasteland, and the dark side frigid and ice-crusted. Yeah, so, I imagine that's the star-facing side. 1,150 degrees Celsius. That is insane. So I'm intrigued to scan that. I'm also intrigued a little bit by Vectra, but no great hints yet, because I don't recognize any of those names from Mass Effect 1. So no insights as to where might be the best place to scan. So we could just try to explore a bit, see if we can find something that is not located directly on top of a planet. That might work. But it is, of course, a little bit harder to do. So we can see, we kind of just like pick it one section at a time. But not hearing anything yet. Trying to hear for that little ping. This corner, except the direction we're going a little bit. Not hearing anything though. Top section over here. The 12 o'clock area. I mean, there's a chance there's just one or two things here that might all be on planets, but usually we've seen one is on a planet and one is in the middle of nowhere. Just haven't really checked this top right corner yet. That's about it though. Yeah, not catching much here. Not really hearing anything. So maybe we missed it, but I didn't hear anything, so I think we're just going for planets, in which case we might try to get a 2-for-1 here. Going for Wuo and Cameron. That's tempting. The other thing I'd like to scan would probably be Vectra. I might start with Vectra just because I feel like it might be easier to make our escape from over here than it is from over here. So let's try this. Also, apparently all the Reapers are on the right side, so that does work really well. We didn't find anything, unfortunately. Over here, we found something. Reapers are probably gonna get alerted here and chase us down, though. So let's find what it is here on Cameron. Excuse me. It is a little weird when it is like on exactly the opposite side of the planet, so it just tells you to go all the way to the southern or northern pole, even though it's not actually at the southern or northern pole. Advanced power relays. Okay, so a war asset. Usually the war assets on planets are quite significant, so that's good, but we do need to make our escape because the Reapers are very likely about to rush us down. But remember, they are basically all spawning on the right side of the system, so that's a good thing. We should have a clean escape to the left. Try to catch in the top left corner if we've found everything in the system, or if there's still a few things remaining. That's everything. Also, apparently we did not fill the meter. Wow, I'm surprised. Okay, so one of these systems, Phoenix, is overrun by Reapers. Hydra is not. This is the place that has the mass relay. So we were deliberately waiting to try to scan until we were ready to leave. That way, if the Reapers do flood this system, we can just make our escape through the mass relay. So, what did we scan? Probably this Met Ghost plus Canrum combo. I think it was actually Canrum that had the asset on it, right? So we could either try for other planets or going for stuff in the middle of nowhere. Usually, after finding something on a planet, that would mean the other thing here would be in the middle of nowhere. So we can try that. This system, I want to say, is not quite as large, but keep our eyes and ears, mostly ears, peeled for that little bloop sound. Not hearing anything yet, though. Basically done the whole left side. It's possible it's on a planet. But we did spend a lot of fuel here. If it is fuel in a random place in the middle of nowhere, that's not the worst thing. Not hearing anything, though. Really not. Just up here in the top area. Only place we have yet to explore. And we scanned this, so yeah, I did not hear anything. So I think that means we may just be looking for a planet here. Either that or just hoping to get a little bit lucky. So we'd kind of like to have a quick escape to the mass relay, because that is, of course, the only way we're actually going to get out of this system. So that probably rules out Siba, regardless of its potential merits. Varmalus would be difficult, but not impossible. And then the easy option would certainly be Thayar. Before we do this, we should save. We should save in case we do get chased down. Then we'll try. So, sure, we'll be a little bit bold. We'll try Varmalus. We were successful. We were successful. I thought we were not going to be successful, and then we were. It is some fuel. Let's make our rush. Reapers, fortunately, not in between us and the mass relay. Otherwise, we could have been in a little bit of trouble there. But there you have it. We have successfully done a fair bit of exploration here, and, of course, attracted Reaper attention to several systems now. It might be worth a quick stop off at the Citadel to turn in that quest that we did. Might have even gotten a couple of quests that we can turn in now. So that would be nice, and especially because we now have what may be enough credits to make one of those big weapon purchases that we were hoping to do previously. So let's go for it. I've successfully unplugged my headphones. Lovely. There we go. Alright, we're back. We're good to go. Oh my goodness, scan it. Heard something. Scan it. Everything is scannable. Everything is making noises. So, actually, let's check real quick. I remember where one of the people we're looking for is. Do we have a couple of items that we're looking to turn in, or just one? Because we definitely got the Cacleosaur fossil. This guy, remember, is in the Presidium, the Solarian, sort of in the back area. So that's one person we could certainly chat with. Did we get anything else? Did we get? I think we got this. The Hesperia period statue. Alright, she's also in the Presidium Commons, so yeah, it sounds like Presidium Commons is the place to be. Hades Nexus. I think we have Hades Gamma, but not Hades Nexus, so there are a few things, yeah, that we've not yet been able to find. I think that may be it, then. We do have access to the Cillian Nebula, but we've not yet been there because there is another mission that we're intending to do in that area. I think that's fine. So yeah, let's head over to the Presidium Common then, I suppose. Okay. Which does mean the Alliance docks.
You're cleared to dock, Normandy. Do you need ground transport?
So, we could go straight to the Commons. However, we do also have some other side quests on the Citadel that we could potentially also try to get done here, which may or may not take place on the Presidium Commons. So, like, for example, we may actually want to do, there was the Volus Ambassador one that I think we had to do at the embassies, at the Spectre Terminal. That's one thing we could do. There was also the Batarian Codes, which I think we just weren't totally sure where to go for that one. So, that one, maybe we even try doing that one first. Maybe we... either way, I think. Let's go for... where was it? The embassies.
I need to get to the embassies.
Yes, Commander.
Alright, so, at the embassies... Yes, we do have some stuff to turn in. However, I was thinking that we would go... One second. Tease of a sneeze. Oh no. Oh no. Nope. Never mind. Not now. Maybe later. Okay. We do have things like the Cacleosaur fossil to turn in. Yes. However, we can also begin the... Where were you? Citadel... Bolus... Oh, right here. This that I'm looking at and hovering over right now. A message from Primarch Victus implicates Volus Ambassador Din Korlak as a possible Cerberus informant. Investigate the ambassador at the Presidium embassies. So we saw this before, we opted not to do it just yet, but perhaps it is time.
I have excellent news. Your daughter's paperwork has been processed.
Oh.
You said it was impossible. How did you pull it off?
Well, I talked to a few friends, called in a few favors, maybe even stayed up a few nights. I wasn't sure I could pull it off, but everything's in order, and your daughter leaves for Thessia tomorrow. A caretaker will travel with her to ensure she reaches her relatives back on the homeworld.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Why don't you go spend the time you have left with her? I'll take care of the rest.
That's so wholesome. She was here before, all concerned about her daughter, who she wanted to send back to the Asari homeworld, Thessia, but just wasn't going to be able to do it, and yet somehow they found a way to make it happen. So, a rare silver lining, a rare bright spot. So yes, for the bazillionth time, there is some stuff we could do with Commander Bailey, but not yet. Not looking to do that yet. Instead, let's see. Vector requisitions. There are some things we could purchase here. Namely, there are some nice shotguns. The Crusader is the one that I was eyeing, but the Piranha is also really good. Of course, this is primarily for squad mates, because we aren't really intending to use it ourselves. So that's one thing to consider. The Piranha is basically like a hybrid between an assault rifle and a shotgun. Yeah, it's an assault rifle or assault shotgun designed for the Reaper War. When the N7 program began training Alliance resistance forces, the light-bodied species wanted a low-recoil weapon with a wide pellet spread for dealing with hordes of husks. The result was the Piranha. They deliberately wanted a wide pellet spread. You don't hear that very often. The result was the Piranha, which hit a sweet spot in close-range firepower. Its rapid-fire capability tears apart not only husks, but most opponents unlucky enough to be in its way. So yeah, really powerful weapon. Again, sort of hybrid between the shotgun and assault rifle, whereas in this case, the Crusader is sort of like a hybrid between a shotgun and a sniper rifle. Bruised and bloody Alliance Marines on Torfan attributed their survival against the waves of Batarian mercenaries to the precision and stopping power of the Crusader. With a design patterned on riot shotguns, this weapon has a moderate rate of fire that rewards careful aiming. Since this accuracy requires little room for error, the Crusader is primarily used by highly trained soldiers. It says there, it sort of implies that it's difficult to aim with this thing. I don't know what it's talking about. It is by far the most accurate shotgun. So, that and another one that we may not have seen yet, but... So, it's a little bit misleading there. That's kind of weird. Then again, that means that perhaps squad mates, I think in general, are more accurate than players are. So maybe if we're talking specifically for squad mates, the Crusader might not be quite as good. And the other thing is that the increased accuracy of the Crusader makes it a good shotgun for getting headshots, which is not perhaps always the type of thing that shotguns excel at, which is another thing that squad mates technically don't usually make a committed effort to shoot enemies in the head. They just kind of shoot. So maybe Crusader, not the best option for squad mates for that reason. But it is just great damage as well, and good range in general, which could be nice if we have a mission on which we either have to bring a certain squad mate or for whatever reason just feel like we want to take squad mates that don't have great ranged options. This is a way of putting a character like, say, Tally, who only has access to, is it SMGs and pistols? Or it's shotguns, then I forget if the second one is SMG or if it's pistol. But either way, might not have the best long-range firepower. You give her the Crusader, and then suddenly she's pretty solid from long range. So that might be the case to be made for the Crusader. Whereas Piranha is lower brain power, just shoot to deal damage. So that's a direction we could go in. We could also get a sniper rifle upgrade, because we right now have some pretty terrible snipers as well. Those are the two things. Shotguns and snipers. We have yet to purchase any, I don't think, of those things. We did actually get, the Grawl for shotguns, which also one that's probably not great for squad mates, but it's something. What else do we have for shotguns? We have the Eviscerator, which is also probably not great for squad mates. Yeah, we just don't have great options for either of these. The only other snipers we have are generally the ones that shoot faster, but are not really your standard shoot once, shoot hard snipers, which is basically what the Black Widow is really good at. Actually has several shots in the clip, though. So, shoot a couple of times, potentially. So, maybe the better question is, do we prefer prioritizing getting Garrus, and to a certain extent, Ashley, a sniper rifle upgrade, or giving Tally, James, and who else would this be? Is that it? Tally, James. Is it just them for shotguns? Give them an upgrade? Forget if Javik is what? He's assault rifle pistol, so no, not him. Yeah, it might just be those two. But, I mean, those two are generally people who, or at least Tally, is someone who's a little more hard-pressed to find a good weapon. So Garrus, of course, we already have the Typhoon, and we can just have him use the Typhoon any and all the time. So maybe we do go with the shotgun here. It's just, this is not as clear-cut of a decision as to which one is better. Maybe we go Crusader. I still think giving Tally the flexibility to go long range is maybe the best option here. So we'll go for it. I also just generally do love that shotgun. Probably my favorite shotgun by a fairly wide margin for our own use, but of course, as we were saying, that is it's still relatively heavy. Probably not something we're looking to use for us as a power-based character.